Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. It's September 2nd, 8 a.m. Ray is trying to get situated. He's a little bit flustered right now.
No, I have to show you. So
we were
talking
What are you going to show me?
We were talking before the stream. Yeah, for those that don't know, I live in Texas, right outside of Dallas, and I am addicted to Topo Chico. I'm addicted to these Topo Chico waters. And there's a shortage in Texas, like no BS. You can look it up. There's a shortage. So I spent like the afternoon driving around the gas stations to find these things, and I had to buy look at this, Jay. I had to buy a mobile cooler, and I just filled it up with as many Topo Chico bottles as I could find. Because
now, can you tell the people what is it about the Topo Chico? If I'm saying that correctly, I'm not even familiar with what it is.
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico. Okay.
Yes, and you have to get it in a bottle because they'll try to serve it to you in like a plastic bottle. I've seen it in cans. It doesn't work like that, bro. You got to get the Topo Chico can opener bottle, the best carbonated mineral water that you could drink. I'm not sponsored by Topo Chico. I wish, because I could get free Topo Chico. But this is the best. I'm addicted. And then they try to have these different flavors like lime and grapefruit. My wife brought me a grapefruit one the other day, and I tasted it. And I just smashed the bottle on the counter because it's just bullshit, and I don't want it. And you have to have the regular Topo Chico. I'm not joking. I am addicted to these drinks. Okay.
So you're saying
Good
it's
morning.
kind of like the Coke phenomenon where you have to have it in the bottle because it tastes better.
You have to have it. You have to have it in the bottle. But that's what I wanted to show you as we started the stream. And everybody who joined, y'all had to sit through that. But go check out a Topo Chico if you haven't had it. But good morning. It is September the 2nd, 2021. And I'm excited because we are here. Football today. Full slate, real deal is going down. College football is back. My bread and butter, love college. College over NFL, 10 out of 10 times for me. I just love everything about college football. So I am giddy with excitement for some of the games today. We've got the NFL right around the corner. Don't know, I probably should pull the show sheet up. I don't even know what news has happened. But Jay, how are you? And good people in the comments, welcome. Happy Thursday. We love you. Comment, talk to us, get at us. Jay, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. You were trying to get situated, and that's okay. I understand. It's your favorite water. When you have a drink you really like, you want to drink it every day. So I totally understand that. But I'm great. I got my coffee. I was on time, ready to go. Show sheet's ready. So you got some time to go check that out. Not a whole lot going on in the news world. A few funny things kind of happened yesterday. The biggest one really was the NBA vaccination report thing coming out. They had a statement, all that stuff, and we'll get into that. But I'm happy the people are here. We're going to talk Ohio State, Minnesota today. We're going to talk NFC North futures and divisional breakdown. So tons of good things today and a big college slate this weekend, and we're going to get into most of that tomorrow.
Yeah, so what are we where are we I'm all over. I am literally debating at this point. I listened to maybe 20% of what you said because I'm debating getting the bottle opener and opening this drink. But are we? So what's this NBA news? What's going on with that?
So I was going to ask you actually, what is the level of government below the state level? Because obviously I'm Canadian and I know what it's called here, but what's it called below the state level is it like ours is called the municipal government? So I'm just asking you if there's
local,
like a different name for it.
State and local government.
Is it local? They don't got a fancy name for local in America? Damn.
Just go to it. What are you getting at?
So basically the NBA released a statement talking about vaccination status. And so in New York and in San Francisco, you have to be vaccinated in order to be at these larger events, which an NBA game would be considered a larger event. So the NBA is basically saying that you're going to have to be vaccinated if you play for the Knicks, the Nets, or the Warriors. But it's kind of deeper than that because these laws change. It's not like these laws are kind of the same all the time unless you live in Florida or you live in Texas where there are no laws. But in these states, they're more conservative. They're trying to, keep people safe, large crowds, all these things. But it'll be interesting kind of to see how this happens throughout the year because if there is an outbreak in a city like Los Angeles are they going to implement the same types of restrictions? Because again, it's population is trying to control the spread of the virus. So I just thought this really interesting because
Yeah.
we don't know if the Nets players are vaccinated, and they're obviously the big ones: Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and then as well, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. Draymond Green, we don't care about as much, but we care about him a little bit. So we'll probably find out which of these players are vaccinated and which ones aren't, simply because some guys may get released, some guys just may mutually part ways, as they say in the business sometimes. So I was just kind of interested to talk about that a little bit because the NBA, obviously, massive league starting back up. These rules weren't in place last season because there wasn't any fans in the stands until the playoffs. But now they're putting in new restrictions for the players, like we've seen in the NFL. It's interesting to see how these leagues decide to handle all of these different things because you have these state restrictions, you have restrictions within city limits. So there's all these various hoops you have to jump through, and how diligent are they going to be about this? And it sounds like the NBA is going to do everything they can to make sure their players and the fans as well are protected.
Man, that's interesting, man. It's a changing situation, man. All these teams can do is try to put the best policies and procedures in place to keep the fan experience, the user experience there. I know it makes a difference in game, for the players, for the fans, but also doing what's in the best interest of the people. So with the new variant, with everything, it's about to be wintertime, going into the fall, cold and flu season. I expect a lot of just different changes that will happen across all major sports. But luckily, we're at a place now where we can enjoy sports live. And I, for one, am excited about that. I'll be going to a Rangers game pretty soon. And, Cowboys game kicks off. I'll be hitting up a couple of those. So, yeah, man, interesting news for sure. But other than that, I mean, is there anything else really worth talking about right now? I know it's a big time for a lot of seasonal leagues, right? It's redraft weekend, right? Isn't this like the national holiday for redraft leagues popping off this Saturday and Sunday? So for those of y'all in redraft leagues, good luck. Make sure you go to Ep15 Fantasy. They got dope-ass rankings. A bunch of tools. Man, there's a lot of, I'm not even joking. The advanced stats section, there's a lot of good stuff there. So as you prepare for your redraft leagues, your seasonal leagues, head over to FTN Fantasy, get into all of that. But, let's get into the game, man. Let's talk a little Ohio State, Minnesota. Let's jump into the morning run.
Wake up! This is the morning run.
Run, Forrest, run!
All right, we've got Ohio State opening tonight. Tonight, we are here. Ohio State is favored by almost 2 touchdowns, 13.5, over under 62.5. If you just take Ohio State on the money line, you don't like that, minus 620. C.J. Stroud, Mo Ibrahim, Tanner Morgan, a litany of wide receivers, Ryan Day, defensive studs, running backs galore. Are we going to see the talented true freshman Travion Henderson? I know Matt Bruning, all things Ohio State, Campus to Canton founder, is in the building. I don't know what to expect, but damn am I excited, man. I mean, to kick off Thursday with an experienced Minnesota team, right? Tanner Morgan, redshirt senior, Mo Ibrahim, redshirt senior. I like the receiver Chris Autumn-Bell. He's another senior veteran player there. Their offensive line, get this, their entire offensive line, left tackle, senior, left guard, senior, center, redshirt senior, right guard, senior, right tackle, senior, tight end, senior, running back, senior, quarterback. They're all seniors. Everybody on this Minnesota team, they're experienced players, man. And I know the easy thing to do is, hell no, it's Minnesota. Ohio State's going to crush them, right? I think it could be a competitive game early. I do expect Ohio State to win this game. What I'm most interested in is just seeing if Minnesota gets out strong, right? If they start the game strong, if Ibrahim's running good, if Tanner Morgan's passing that ball, and let's just say Ohio State gets down. Let's just say they're down. You got to ride with Stroud, right? They're not going to play this game with us week 1 of the college football season, pulling Stroud, inserting McCord. They're not going to do that, are they, Jay? There's no way they do that. This is C.J. Stroud's job. He earned it. He's talented. He played well in the spring game. It's got to be Stroud, right?
I hope so. Man. But honestly, I wouldn't say that it's a sure thing. It's his first start ever. And if McCord gets in, I believe it'd still be his first kind of game action in a long time. So it's hard to say because, as much as I love Stroud, and while I do think he's going to be ready for the moment, I don't think they can afford to lose this game. Do you? Muhammad Ibrahim is going to be running the ball probably 25, 30 times unless they really, really struggle. And even if they do, I just don't see them opening it up with Tanner Morgan. That's just not what that offense did last year, especially now losing Rashad Bateman. They don't have the studs on the outside when they had Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman to throw the ball to. They're going to have to pound the rock. Like you said, they have the offensive line. They have all the seniors, and they've played against Ohio State pretty well in the past. So for me, I think that in a lot of ways, this is going to be a tougher game for Ohio State than people are probably willing to admit. And I don't think it's crazy to say that CJ Stroud could be pulled if he really does struggle, because I don't think they can afford to lose this game. And so if Ryan Day says, look, CJ, you don't got it today. In practice, everything, you look good, but you don't got it today. We got to, go somewhere else, see if we can find some more success. Because like you said, they're all talented quarterbacks. It's not like CJ is the clear guy. He's just the starter right now.
And their matchups in recent history, man, have been close, right? They've been very close. It's not like Ohio State has blown them out every time they faced off. In 2018, Ohio State won 30-14. In 2015, Ohio State, and in 2015, 28-14, Ohio State and both. What is this? Just explain this. I don't understand this note. What is this?
It's 30-14 OSU in 2018, and in 2015 it was 28-14 OSU. Both games were played in Columbus. Their last meeting in Minnesota was in 2014, and OSU won 31-24. So, but this game is in Minnesota, so it's not in Columbus anymore. They played two in Columbus before.
Yeah.
Now they're back in Minnesota. But to have Ohio State favored by 14, so that's 2 touchdowns on the road, over under of 62.5, which I think is an absurdly high number.
You think
because
so?
You look at the past, right? They haven't even come close to that. The closest they've hit is 55.
55.
Right?
55.
And that was in 2014. And they didn't even hit that number, I believe, in 2010 when they won like 52-7. That was the last time they actually blew them out, was back in 2010. Obviously, Minnesota, a much better program now than they were back then. So I think this game's actually going to be really, really close.
So do I.
I would be willing to take Minnesota on the spread, and I would be willing to take the under for sure in a parlay. I bet them separately, and I would bet them together. I think the under is almost a sure thing because I just really don't think OSU is going to blow them out. I just really don't.
And there's something, man, with game one, week one, you're still finding your rhythm, right? And Rico has a good point right here. Ohio State's got Oregon next week. They've got Oregon in Columbus, and that's going to be a showdown because I think that Oregon defense is going to be ready to play. Now, unfortunately for Oregon, it's an 11 a.m. game. So that's 9 o'clock their time that they're up playing. So a lot of times you see those Pac-12 teams travel to the east and play those early morning games and really struggle. But I'm interested to see how, because there's no denying the offensive talent. When you just for fantasy, just draft Buckeyes. Like that's they've got, especially at the wide receiver position, the skill positions. Those dudes are loaded. I mean, their entire second string wide receiver core and maybe some of their third string guys can go be starters right now at 130 other Division I schools. Like today, as soon as they step on campus, we'll just go run a 9 route, go run a post corner, and we'll play you. But I too think that this is going to be a close game. I would not bet the spread. I would not favor Ohio State in this one. I do think they win. Evan says Minnesota +7 half split right now on DK. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good game, and it's going to be a good test for Ohio State. Bruning, all things Ohio State, said the linebackers are very suspect for the Buckeyes. And it seems like that's sort of been the case since A.J. Hawk has been. Like, we need the A.J. Hawk years, the Laurinaitis years. You know what I mean? The Laurinaitis years. So, we'll see how it plays out, but I think it's an excellent game today. Excited for that this evening. As a Buckeyes fan, I want to see how the DBs play. Yeah, I think everybody's kind of interested. I think we all think the Ohio State offense is going to be clicking at least relatively soon. It's how does that defense play, and how does that defense hold up against one of the best senior running backs in the country? So outside of that, is there anything else that you're interested in seeing in this game? Or is it really C.J. Stroud, Ohio State, and just college football's back, baby?
Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yes, come on,
I want to see hopefully we see some Marvin Harrison. He's going to be backing up Garrett Wilson. And then Emeka Egbuka is going to be backing up Smith and Jigba. So it's interesting. But the problem is like do I want to see a blowout so I see those guys in the second half, or do I want to just see a close game that's,
Yeah.
been
We
a
want to
back
see a
and
good
forth?
game.
Ultimately, I know that Minnesota's going to control the ball with the run game. That's what they always do. They're going to keep it close by controlling the ball with the run game. And like you said, Muhammad Ibrahim. But I do want to see, what are those receivers going to do? That's going to be where the money's made. And I just could see
All
them
right.
opening
I
it
got
wide
it.
up.
Got it. You don't have. I know you're trying to stretch
I'm
it out.
excited, man. I'm a wide
You're
receiver
excited.
guy.
It's all right. I got it. We got it, man. It's going down tonight. Minnesota, Ohio State in Minnesota. I know my man Kane Fossil is going to be real excited about that. But we got NFC North, man. We have not done the team previews in a couple of days, man. We had Elliot Chris on yesterday, college football previews, but we still got to get into the NFC North. So let's beat the rush, man.
Wake up.
This is Beat the Rush.
All right, NFC North team previews or division outlook. Let's take a look at the division outlook. Nasty Justin Fields right there. Yes, Ohio State, Justin Fields. Let's get him to start. But the favorites in this division, of course, are the Green Bay Packers, right? Win total 10.5. Minnesota Vikings, their projected win total, or at least by some of the odds makers, 9 wins. Chicago 7.5, and Detroit 5 wins. 5 wins. Their odds for Green Bay to win the division minus 145. So they're the favorites, followed by Minnesota at plus 300, Chicago plus 550, and Detroit. Long shot bet down there plus 10,000. What are you thinking about this from the team? Is it a foregone conclusion that this is Green Bay's division, or can Minnesota sneak up on some teams and maybe even Chicago, given the fact that they have a strong defense? We know that they have the offensive weapons on the outside and a dominant run game. If you're banking on Justin Fields taking over that job sooner rather than later, plus 550 to win the division. What are your thoughts there? Over under 7.5 wins for Chicago. Can Minnesota sneakily win this division over Green Bay? And what are the chances Green Bay's just not as good as we think they are? They lost their All-Pro, Pro Bowl center Corey Linsley in the offseason. That's a big blow, for that offensive line. Still didn't improve the wide receiver core. It's Devontae Adams or bust. I know there's a lot of talk about Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They still have Alan Lazard, drafted Amari Rodgers. Don't expect him to be much of a factor. We know Minnesota lost Irv Smith for the season. Brutal blow. And Chris Herndon has life again in Minnesota. And I don't think we think Detroit's going to do anything. So there's no point to really talk about them from the division. But what are your thoughts on Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago, which I really kind of like their win total and their price to potentially win the division?
So it's funny because when I was looking up some of the stats for this graphic, right, and just putting together all the odds and all this stuff, I didn't realize that the Vikings actually lost more games than the Bears last season. So their win totals from last year, Packers were 13-3, Vikings were 7-9, Bears were 8-8, and the Lions were 5-11. So the bookmakers are basically saying the Bears are going to do the exact same thing again, which to me is the most far-fetched conclusion amongst all of them, right? I personally believe Green Bay is going to win the division. I would bet on them to win the division. And then the other guy that you didn't mention is Bakhtiari. I don't know if he's going to be back this year or if he'll come in, because I wasn't sure if he's fully healthy. I believe did he tear his Achilles or did he tear his ACL or something late in the year last year? So Bakhtiari is a little bit questionable, but for me, it still starts with Rodgers. Starts and ends with Rodgers. He's going to get that line together. He's going to call the right plays. He's going to call the protections. I'm not as worried about the line. They may be a little bit suspect early on, but I think he'll get them together overall. This number at 10.5 to me is light for Green Bay. I'd take that. I would take the division. But when you talk about Minnesota's the team that I don't have as much faith in. I like the team, especially from a fantasy perspective. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, studs, all great players. But from a winning perspective, I don't think the defense got that much better. I know that they re-signed Harrison Smith. I know that Anthony Barr is nursing a knee injury right now, and he hasn't practiced in over 3 weeks. And already the Minnesota media is starting to wonder if he's even going to be ready for week 1. Not a great start for that defense, having Anthony Barr sidelined for the past 3 weeks, right? So again, overall, it's not a big deal for the long term, but if they get off to a slow start and, things don't get rolling the right way, and there's a lot of talk, I don't know if you've heard of this much, about Kirk Cousins' vaccination status and Josh McCown coming out saying that he's not going to be able to lead the team effectively. And just because
Oh,
it's
I
like
didn't
he's not
see
leading
that.
by example and some things like that, not a big deal, but
So
you
hold
look
on
at
real
Josh
quick.
Allen.
Hold on real quick. I just want to confirm. So Kirk Cousins is, we believe that he's not
No, he's
vaccinated.
not. He is
Okay,
not
he's-
vaccinated.
So
Yeah,
you run the risk of him missing weeks of gameplay,
Yeah.
right? If he tests positive.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, he's
Man.
I believe he's actually stated that he's not vaccinated. But yeah, so that's one of the things that McCown said about him. I forget where the interview was, but he was just talking about how, like, and I think if it's more a talent perspective, like Kirk Cousins isn't so good to where you will follow him if he doesn't lead the right way. Like Josh Allen is so good, we don't care that he's not vaccinated, Players are still going to ride with Josh Allen. I don't think guys are going to
I think we
I don't think
care,
guys are going
but
to ride.
I
Well,
think
we
we
care from
care.
well, we care, but I'm saying the players, like as far as leading the team, management cares and all that stuff cares. But if I'm a receiver, I'm rolling with Josh Allen whether he's vaccinated or not.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about that.
But what we do care about is if he ends up missing multiple weeks and Minnesota has to go to Kellen Mond, they will lose every game that Kellen Mond plays. Like every game, every snap that Kellen Mond takes under center, if he gets on the field this year, is a negative snap. That's just not a good play waiting to happen. I'm just being. He is somebody that I said in fantasy drafts, you take a third round dart throw in super flex. In the best case scenarios, he sits for 2 years, doesn't play, learns, and then maybe he becomes something. But from what we saw in preseason, dude looks like a wet fart. It doesn't look good for Kellen Mond. But I'm surprised that Chicago did have more wins than Minnesota, because you would think Minnesota won more games, but the Bears were 8-8, and I actually like that. I like their over. I do not think that. I think they're going to throw Andy Dalton to the Wolves week 1. I think they've got the Rams in week 1. He will probably be destroyed versus that defense. But I don't know. What's interesting is, will New England naming Mac Jones as starting quarterback have any trickle-down effect for Chicago and for San Francisco? And if I had to bet, and did you see Justin Fields' press conference where they were basically asking him about Andy Dalton, and he said all the right things. He was like, Andy Dalton's a veteran. I still need to earn my stripes. I'm here just trying to get better every single day. Dalton's like, it was very positive. Then Dalton gets up there and pretty much is like, yeah, they brought me in to be the guy. It's my time to do this. I'm thinking like, bro, they literally brought you in like a week before Justin Fields got there. You did absolutely nothing last season. What the hell are you talking about? This is it was completely opposite to what Justin Fields was saying. I think they just need to pull the Band-Aid off, clip the umbilical cord, and let Fields go get it. And I think if Fields starts earlier than like week 1, week 2, week 3, I think there's a good chance that Chicago is over this 7.5 win total. I can see them getting 8-9 wins. And then for the division, I agree. I think Green Bay, you can't. I mean, it's Aaron freaking Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams. I think they should be favored. They are favored. But at plus 550, I don't. That would be the outside team that, right now projected to win the third most games. It would be Chicago for me. So that's where I'm at with the division, but I think it's Green Bay. After looking all great preseason, we're waiting for Justin Fields to take over. Yeah, man. That's what we're doing. I think it's Green Bay's division, but I do like Chicago at plus 550, and I promise you the moment that Justin Fields is announced the starting quarterback, that price changes, and you won't get as good a price. So just real quick, speaking about, want to go to the quarterbacks because I want to talk about Justin Fields and the movement in offensive rookie of the year pricing. So you want to look at the NFC North quarterbacks?
Let's go to the QBs because there's some interesting numbers for the QBs.
All right, so go ahead. Let us know what's going on here.
All right, so let's start with Aaron Rodgers, the king of the North, as I like to call him. And so he's projected we have him at FTN projected for 4,416 yards, but his over-under is actually 4,550, and it's 4,600 on some sports books. So that was kind of the lowest number that I found, close to the FTN projection at minus 111.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins, Mr. Unvaccinated himself, has 4,050 yards to hit for his over-under. We have him at FTN projected for 4,159. So pretty close there. Now, the Justin Fields number, that number is not listed. I had to pull that number together, galaxy brain a little bit. So I wanted to get your take on this number. I listed it at 3,550.
Is this the Jay Rich book? The Jay Rich book?
This is the Jay Rich projection right here. So I put the number at 3,550 and a half. And then FTN has him projected for 3,510. And I actually did put that number up before looking at the projections. So not so bad. Okay, and then Jared Goff is probably the most interesting of all. He's projected for almost 4,000 yards, 4,000 on some sports books, but FTN has him projected for 4,376 yards, which is a lot more than I was expecting overall.
Derek Brown,
so Ray,
did you do
what
this?
What are your thoughts on this?
D-Bro, did you do this? Who did this?
We got to ask him.
I need to talk to whoever's running the FTN projections. Who did this? Who's responsible for Jared Goff having damn near the same passing numbers as Aaron Rodgers? Who did this? With what receiver? With what receiver?
Yeah,
who are they throwing to?
That's the problem. That's the problem.
If this is what Jared Goff is going to throw for, TJ Hawkinson's going for 1,600. TJ Hawkinson's going for 1,600. I mean, what? Nah, man.
It's high. It's crazy
man.
high.
Who did that? We'll have a conversation offline. Who's responsible for this? Yeah, no, I'm not feeling it. Hey, Stone, I know you're a Detroit man, Michigan. This ain't happening, man. So Aaron Rodgers, I mean, what did he throw for last season? I'm assuming a lot. He was the damn MVP, but I think Aaron Rodgers
for a lot of touchdowns last year was the big thing for him, right? He threw for almost 4,300. So he didn't even hit that number last year. But he does have the extra game.
I'm taking the under 45. Man, no thank you. I think Rodgers is going to be dynamite this season, but that's a lot of. I guess it's accounted for another game, right? I got to think there's another game. But I'm taking the under on Rodgers again. The NFC North. When you who's got the best receiving core in this division?
That's a great question. I think
who's got
probably Minnesota. I'd probably say Minnesota. I just like their top two, right? I think I like it better than Chicago's top two, and then Green Bay just has a top one.
I don't know, man. I think Kmet, Mooney, Robinson, Jefferson, Thielen, Herndon, Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams and number two, I guess. It doesn't really matter. I think Minnesota's got the best receivers. Plus, you got to factor in Cook's probably the best receiver outside of Swift, but we're not talking about Detroit here for best.
Yeah,
pass catching
I think
weapons,
Minnesota.
Right?
I think Minnesota's got the best pass catchers. They may have the best offensive skill players, like in total, collectively, with Dalvin Cook, Thielen, Jefferson. Yeah. The one that I'm just completely out on is Jared Goff. I would be well. Here's the thing: if 4,300, if there's some sound reasoning as to why Derek Brown did that, then you take the over of 39.95. I mean, it's a wide gap right there. I just don't think they have the weapons, man, at wide receiver for Goff to hit that number. We talked about Tua getting over 3,800 yards. I have way more confidence that Tua hits 3,900 yards than Jared Goff this season. We'll see how that plays out.
You made me a little bit nervous, so I had to go back and double check it. And so here's the list of the quarterbacks they have Goff projected over. And keep in mind, this is at 600
Stop
attempts.
saying they. It's we. We did this, but not me.
We did this, but
we did this, but not me.
We didn't. Yeah. So Matt Ryan, Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Ben Roethlisberger, Kyler Murray, all those quarterbacks have projected for less yards than Jared Goff. But Jared Goff I don't know what his touchdowns are. But
yeah, we'll talk.
22 touchdowns.
We'll talk to D-Bro because I think this was Derek Brown who did this mess. We'll talk to him after the show. But 43.76, no. Justin Fields is interesting. I like the J Rich Sports book. I think this is a bet on does he start, and then I still think 35 is kind of high because I think he's going to do a lot of damage with his legs on the ground. For a rookie, but I think he's got the weapons with Allen Robinson, Mooney, Kmet, Jimmy Graham. I think he's got enough weapons to potentially get there. but I'd probably go under 35.50 in the J Rich Sportsbook. I still don't like Kirk Cousins at 4,050. With just I have not heard anything about Justin Jefferson. I'm just assuming that he's completely healthy from that. Was it an AC sprain? AC joint. I'm just assuming that he's healthy, and Jets is going to be Jets. Thielen is one of the most dude is just good. I think he was like PPR wide receiver 7 last year with Jefferson doing his thing. Like, it's Thielen and Jefferson are going to eat this season, like feast. Thielen, Jefferson, Dalvin Cook going to smash this year, and then we know Aaron Rodgers is going to do his thing. But if you're asking me right now, bro, I'm taking the under on all of these, every last one of them. Rodgers, Cousins, Fields, Goff, under. Just initial thought without diving in to pace of play, diving into their schedule and matchups for the wide receivers, but just off of quick glance, and this is the first time I've seen these numbers, I'm taking the under. But what I wanted to talk about real quick is Justin Fields. I want to talk about Justin Fields and his odds for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Do you know could you guess what the top 3 favorites are for Offensive Rookie of the Year right now?
Well, we've been looking at him a lot, but I know that T-Law is probably still 1 in most books. I know that Mac is approaching 2, and I will rank him there. And I would say that Justin Fields, I don't think Zach Wilson's
Pitts,
getting
Harris,
the betting
Wilson,
love.
Lance.
It's not Pitts. Pitts is still like 12 to 1. I'm gonna go with Wilson. Actually, I'll go with Wilson at 3.
It's Trevor Lawrence. We got on our prop shop. You go to our prop shop, ftnbest.com/prop-shop. Trevor Lawrence plus 400, Mac Jones plus 600, Justin Fields plus 750, Zach Wilson plus 900, Najee Harris plus 1,000, Pitts plus 1,200, and we don't have a line for Trey Lance. Interesting. No line for Trey Lance. Interesting.
0 lines for
That's
Trey Lance.
That's interesting. Why?
0.
I think they're waiting to see if they announce him the starting quarterback or not. If Trey Lance is announced the starting quarterback, I think he's probably priced around 500. I think he'd be like plus 500. I still think he'd be.
Really?
You think he'd be number 1? You think he'd be the odds-on favorite?
I think he could quickly jump to number 1. Like I could see him maybe opening up around 550, but I could see him getting bet down, and then T-Law coming up to 500. And then you have like that three QB race, right? Because again, you look at Mac Jones, how quickly his odds went from, I believe when we looked at it last, you bet it 15 to 1. It was sitting at about 12 to 1. Then he's announced the starter. It's 6 to 1. Right,
that bet ain't looking too bad today, is it? That plus 1,500 Mac Jones bet ain't looking too bad today, is it?
So with Lance, right, we talked about San Francisco. They're projected for 10.5 wins. That's, a winning quarterback on a winning team. It's going to help him, win Rookie of the Year. You look at Herbert, he had the numbers, but I think this year, whoever wins a lot of games is going to be the guy who wins the Rookie of the Year award.
See, and let me tell you why Lawrence ain't going to win it. Lawrence is not going to win it because Jacksonville isn't going to be good enough. I don't think they're going to win enough games. I think the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. The New England Patriots are going to push to make the playoffs. The Chicago Bears are probably going to push to make the playoffs. I think the Jaguars are going to be god-awful. I think they're going to be god-awful. And if Lance leads that team to the playoffs, if Mac Jones leads New England to the playoffs after the season they had, if Justin Fields somehow gets to play, Trevor Lawrence isn't going to win that award. I don't believe so. And that is no indictment against T-Law, the player. Listen, I got a video on YouTube saying he's the greatest quarterback prospect of all time. I think he's fantastic. I just don't think they're going to be good enough. I don't think they're going to be good enough for him to win that award unless he goes just nuts. And that's the same thing with Zach Wilson. I think we confuse, or not confuse, but we blur the lines of seeing spectacular flashes with what's actually going to drive this award. And, it's first of all, it's a quarterback-driven award, and it's narrative-based, man. What did they do to push? Like, Herbert went ballistic, and I don't see Lawrence doing that. I don't see Wilson doing that. I don't see any of them doing that. So which quarterback is going to be the most pivotal piece of that team making the playoffs? And let me tell you something. What will happen? What will increase Mac Jones's chances? The week 4 matchup versus Tampa Bay. If
Oh,
he goes out there, and I'm not even saying wins, look, I'm
yeah.
painting in there. I'm calling it now. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to
Okay.
happen. It's going to be a duel. I think Brady and Jones are going to go back and forth. I think Brady and Jones are going to
Oh
go
my
back
God.
and forth week 4. Listen to me. Back and forth because New England still has a strong defense. They're going
Yeah.
Bill. If anybody knows how to figure out or scheme for Tom Brady, it's Bill Belichick. They're going to go back and forth. It's going to be edge of your seat, riveting TV. I mean, it may be one of the highest viewed games in NFL history. Like it
Yeah.
truly.
Oh, it will
and it's
be, for
in
sure.
Foxborough, right? It's in
Yeah,
Foxborough.
it's his return to Foxborough.
It's
so
gonna
it'll
be the it's gonna
very
it's
highly
gonna
viewed.
it's going to have more ratings than the damn Super Bowl, a Week 4 matchup. Like the NFL better market this. If not, they can hire me. I will help do it. But they're gonna go back and forth, back and forth. Tom Brady will win. Tampa Bay will beat New England. But I think that's the game where people say, "Damn, this dude is good. Mac can play." I think they're going to go back and forth. Each quarterback is going to shred the other team. It's going to be a fun duel, and that's going to set the platform for all he needs to do is continue to build upon that. And then I think they close out the season. They get the Jets twice. So they get the Jets one. Like they close it out with stank ass teams. So I think that's going to be Mac's opportunity to really win that award. But if Trey Lance does start if Trey Lance starts week 1, it's going to be hard to keep the Rookie of the Year award away from him. But it's going to be compelling and fun to watch. And, at the point Mac went from plus 1,500 to plus 600 in a matter of, a couple of months, it's looking the probability. I'm using the Elliott Crit. The probability is already swung in my favor just a tad bit. My boy Ike said no way on Trevor. Jags had the number 1 pick for a reason. Von Hodges said I like Zach Wilson. And my man, Real King. Hey, King, we appreciate you. I think he's in school, man. He always taps in for about 35 minutes. And he's like, peace, I got to go to class. Jacksonville won 1 game last year. If he gets them to around 500,
Come on.
go to class.
Come on.
Go to
Come
class.
on.
Catch the rest of the show later. They're not getting close to 500. It's not happening. If they do, I'll come back and apologize to you publicly. But it ain't happening. So those are the quarterbacks. Let's take a look at, you want running backs or wide receivers from the NFC North? What do you want to look
Let's
at?
do
Running
wide
back-
receivers. Let's do
Want to do wide
receivers.
receivers? Let's do a wide
I
receivers.
like the wideouts.
Tay Adams. Tay Nasty. 1,300 and a half. 1,301 is what he's got to hit. The books. Jefferson, 1,225 and a half. Allen Robinson, 1,075. That just breaks my heart to see that. He's so good. So good. And then TJ Hawkins, 775. We have Hawkinson projected at 823. FTN has Allen Robinson projected at 1159. Jefferson right at 1290. And Devontae Adams at 1369. 69, baby. That's how I like it.
Nice.
Devontae Adams. Where you at with these lines? And all of them are minus odds. Minus 111 pricing for just about everybody except Jefferson, whose odds are a little bit worse at minus 115. Just a tad bit. Just a tad bit. What do you think about these lines?
So I like a lot of them, honestly. Adams, I love the over there. I think he's doing for 1,500 easy. We have him projected for only 1,369, but I think 1,500 is very much in the cards. Jefferson, it's a very nice number, especially knowing that he put up 1,400 last year. But that stupid shoulder, man. Like, I just wish I knew that he was going to be healthy and playing, because with a shoulder, he still may be out there running routes. He still may be, playing, but he's not 100%. He can't do everything he needs to do to get that, 80, 90-yard pace that he had last year. But I think that 1,225 is very doable. I saw numbers of him at 1,300, which is a lot closer to our projection, but you can get that 1,225 number out there. So if you do like the over, I think you want to take that number. If you want to go under, you think maybe he starts slow, whatever, you take the under on around 1,300. But I think that, you know what? I'm going over. Allen Robinson is interesting because I think we expect a lot from this offense now. Before it was all Allen Robinson all the time. He was like a 140 target guy. And this 1,075 is a very beatable number for a guy who sees his volume. But the question is he going to see that volume this year? And Ray, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, because I know that we like Mooney. I know we like Kmet. We know Jimmy Graham's still there. I think they do try and run the ball a little bit more, have that balanced attack, even if Fields is a quarterback, because Fields can run. They can run it with David Montgomery. They brought in Damian Williams to do some stuff in the passing game. It's just, I don't know if A-Rob is going to see that 130, 140 targets that he saw previously. Of course,
Why won't
very
he?
possible.
Why won't
Very
he?
possible. I just think they want to spread the ball a little bit more,
But
like
why? Why do you like? And I'm not trying to be a smart. Like, why do you think that? Like, they did not. Like, why do they want to spread the ball around more? He's their best offensive weapon. They listen. Say what you want about Dalton, who's not very good. He's probably better than Mitch Trubisky. There's a reason why Nick Foles is third on the depth chart, and Justin Fields is better than anybody that they've had in a long time. He's their number one target. And if we've got him projected at 1159, and what's interesting about Allen Robinson's line, DraftKings has him at over under 1075, but then there are multiple books who have him about 1150. So if you wanted to place the bet, if you were a little conservative, then you bet the over 1075 and then the under 1150, because I think he's going to be probably an 1,100-yard receiver, possibly. I mean, with the extra game, man.
Yeah, that's where I'm with you. Is the extra
I like
game,
the over.
It could be an extra 80 to 90 yards for him. And I think, don't get me wrong, I think it's doable, but I think where I'm concerned a little bit is I don't know what the offense is going to look like with Fields, because as much as I love Fields, it may be a little bit different. He may not be hyper targeting A-Rob. He hasn't even played with A-Rob yet. So is he going to target Mooney more? Is he going to target Riley really more? Are they going to run more because that offense is going to be better? So that's where I just have a little bit of concerns, but I think the number is very beatable. Like you said, 1075, I think he's hit that already 3 times in his career, and I believe he came very close, if not beating it last year. And then there's TJ Hawkinson, and there's all the Detroit wide receivers. Who are the Detroit wide receivers?
Honestly,
should we tell the people the list?
What is the Detroit starting lineup? Honestly, I'm pulling up their depth chart right now.
So okay, I did look into this before we got on the show, and I wanted to bring this up for our fantasy audience, because for some reason Khalif Raymond is listed as a starter. Rashad Perriman was released, I believe like 2 or 3 days ago when they had roster cuts. So right now the starting wide receivers are Tyrell Williams and Khalif Raymond, who are starting, backed up by Tom Kennedy and Quintez Cephas, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown and Trinity Benson, who I just learned of today, are the third string guys. So what is this offense going to look like? Who's going to be playing? But if I wanted to go pick up a guy off of waiver wire right now in my fantasy league, especially in deep dynasty leagues, it's Khalif Raymond. If he is starting for any
slot,
starter,
he's the starting slot receiver.
Yeah, he'll be starting in the slot.
Yeah, like, they've got Amon-Ra at the Z, Tyrell at the X, Khalif Raymond at the slot. Yeah.
There's going to be value in him. There has to be. But getting back to Hawkinson and his number, which I believe was 775.
Sorry.
He's going to hit that number easy. Easy. I think people talk about him getting a crap load of targets. They're going to run the ball, but I think Hawkinson is due for a big year, and I could see him almost hitting 1,000 yards. I know we have him projected for only 823, but I think that there's just a big opportunity for him this year, and if they don't feature him this year, it's just never going to happen. They're only going to get better weapons going forward.
He had like 725 last year. I think he had like 725 last year, so at 775, they're just projecting him to do what he did last year, when we know Jared Goff routinely targeted the tight ends, man. I mean, that he's what made people go nuts about Tyler Higbee. So I think Hawkinson is going to lead that team in receptions, probably receiving yards. Khalif Raymond, Tyrell Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'll tell you what's going to happen. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm single coverage. I'm single high safety. I'll man those dudes up. I'll run a cover 3, cover a third, and I'm loading the box and daring you to throw the ball with Jared Goff. That's what I'm doing. Because Tyrell can get down the field. We know Goff would take a couple of shots, but this is an uninspiring offense, man. It's an uninspiring offense right now. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I've routinely said that I think he can have a Terry McLaurin type impact, that rookie wide receiver who's forced into duty because of the lack of talent around him at receiver. And, this is no discredit to Khalif Raymond. He's probably had to work his ass off to become a starting wide receiver in the NFL. But I think Amon-Ra is more talented than Khalif Raymond and more talented than Tyrell Williams at this point in his career. And the fact that Tyrell keeps getting starting jobs and doing absolutely nothing with it is impressive. But Adams, I think he's easy over 1,300. That's it. That's it for Devontae Adams? Over. And I looked up Justin Jefferson. The most recent practice report that I saw was from 2 weeks ago, and they said he returned to practice 2 weeks ago. So, in my mind, I think Jefferson is safe. Jets is going to do his thing. I'm taking the over on Allen Robinson. I want the over on all these guys. But for me, I'm pretty sure Hawkinson is projected to have the most receiving yards for the Detroit Lions, right? And if that's the case,
so, yeah.
there's no way in hell Jared Goff is going to throw for 4,600 yards or whatever. What was it? I got to see that.
43.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
It's a lot.
Yeah, Ike said that's a sad receiving core. Sad. I like Amon-Ra, though. I like Amon-Ra. But let's go to the running backs because this is where the intrigue. I think this is a talented division of running backs, man. Talented running back division. Good grief. Aaron Jones, 1050. We haven't projected a 944. Woof. Dalvin Cook. We haven't projected a 1247, but you saw a book with 1375 as the number, so you might be able to juice that both directions if 1375. Whew.
That's a big number. Even for Dalvin Cook, that's a big number.
It's a big number. David Montgomery, 950 and a half, and then DeAndre Swift, 900. We have Swift projected for 704. That is depressing. Yikes.
They have him
DeAndre
projected
Swift.
for a very low carry count. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So they're really projecting that Alvin Kamara type workload, where I believe he was projected for 170 carries or so. That's why the number's so low. It's only 700 because he's only projected for about 170 carries. If he gets to that 250 number, then you're going to see him closer to that 900.
That's 170. That's backup numbers, man. That's but
that's the timeshare numbers, right? That's the Austin Eckler type numbers. You know, the total may be fine as far as his total yardage because he may get 600-700 receiving yards, but maybe there's a world where he actually does get more receiving yards than rushing yards. I think it is a real possibility given the offense.
What would you be happy about that? Like if DeAndre Swift's ceiling, which I think a lot of people thought, and for a long time I had him at RB2 in 2020. You know, I was thinking he's a perennial 1,000-yard rusher, right? Like he's going to be a player that's, 1,100 yard seasons. What if he is a 700-yard rusher, but he gives you 500-600? Like, are you happy with that? Would you be happy with that?
You can't really be happy with it because of how highly you rated him, and how highly he was sought after. Like people talked about him like he could have been the RB1 for a long time.
Oh yeah, he was the RB1 for a lot of people.
He's on the field with Nick Chubb. He's on the field with Sony Michel. He's as a freshman, like all these talks about him, how great he is in the receiving game. But the problem is, and here's the biggest problem with all of these comps people make, they say DeAndre Swift is Alvin Kamara. He's Alvin Kamara. You are only Alvin Kamara if you score the touchdowns because Alvin Kamara scores 12 to 16 touchdowns every single year. Last year, he had 6 in one game. And even if you take that game off of the schedule, he still had 15 touchdowns. So he scored 21 touchdowns. Yes. See, when I did some stuff for Roto Underworld, I looked into it. He had 21 touchdowns last year because of the 6 touchdown game. But even if you take that out, 15 touchdowns in 15 games.
Good
DeAndre
Lord.
Swift is not doing that. That's where you have to give him the Austin Eckler comparison. Well, what does Austin Eckler do? He carries the ball about 150 to 200 times, maybe catches the ball about 60, 70 times, but it comes down to how many times can he find the end zone because the volume is great. We know he's an efficient player, but where you get to that RB1 ceiling that Alvin Kamara is always at every year, 4 for 4, you have to hit the touchdowns or it's not going to happen.
Man.
So that's why I think you're going to be sad about DeAndre Swift. If he doesn't find the end zone 8 times a year, he's probably going to be like RB2. But again, the price is low for Swift. You're not drafting him up with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Man, he's slipping a lot because of the injury.
I think in the draft, the price may be discounted, but people who have Kamara on their dynasty rosters, on their fantasy teams, they're not. They still aren't. They're not giving
Swift,
any discount. Swift, yeah. But I was looking at Kamara's numbers, dude. Rookie year, 8 rushing touchdowns, 5 receiving touchdowns. Next year, 14 rushing, 4 receiving. And then he had the injury plague 19. He only had 5 and 1. And then last year, 16 rushing touchdowns and 5 receiving touchdowns. No less than 533 receiving yards in his career at the running back position with a high of 826 in his damn rookie year.
And has he ever hit this number? Because I think his highest was last year, or it was about 930, right? Was his last year? Because we talked about
932. Yeah, 932.
So if Kamara can't hit this number, how the hell is Swift going to hit it?
Man.
It's the reality of the situation, man.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift over under 900 rushing yards. With as much as they talked about Jamal Williams, I'd be a little afraid. I know that Stone said DeAndre Swift's projection is disrespectful, but it might be right, man. He might be a 7. Ooh, this is you got it. Jay, I don't like it. I might have to get off of Swift. I don't know, man.
Doing the research was not fun as a Swift fan. But we have to see what it looks like from a receiving perspective, right? Like the lowest number on FanDuel is 875, and a lot of them have been hammered down already. Even on FanDuel, it's minus 126 for the under, but MGM at 900, you can get it at minus 111. MGM's got some great odds. We got to talk to MGM about maybe doing a little something because they got some great.
MGM, come holler at me, man. Get GQ. Come holler at me. Come.
And then even for
show.
Swift, the crazy thing about Swift. What do you think his over under is if you don't have it up right now for receiving yards?
Swift?
Yeah, for receiving yards.
449.
375. Highest of 400. So they're projecting him on the high end at 400 receiving yards, which
all right,
I'm
I'm concerned, so I'm doing extra.
Everyone, if you are watching, DeAndre Swift is on the block in all Ray GQ leagues.
I'm going back to Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley. Hey, I mean, he was targeted by Jared Goff, man. 87 targets, Gurley in 2017, 64 receptions, 788, 6 touchdowns. 2018, 81 targets, 59 receptions, 580, and 4 touchdowns. And I think Goff's rookie season was 2016. I think it was 2016. But Gurley had 43 and 327. So, listen, Jared Goff is the new check down king. So you said 350? You said
375 as the lowest number.
I'd feel better about his over the receiving yards than I do over the rushing yards for DeAndre Swift. That's where I'm at. I feel better.
Absolutely.
Oh man. All right, we spent David Montgomery, 950 and a half. Over. Yeah, I'm
over.
with
He
you.
went over 1,000 last year. Justin Fields only makes it easier for him.
Yep, Justin Fields makes it easier. You know, my friend Matt Kelly always talks about the Alfred Morris corollary when you've got a rushing quarterback running the zone read. You know, you've got to freeze the outside backer. The middle backer's got his keys. Could open up some lanes for Montgomery. And, you know, as much crap as people talk about David Montgomery, all he's been since he's been in the league is consistent when given the volume. And volume is king. And outside of Montgomery, who do they have? I think Cohen is not right now. Damian Williams stinks. And I actually think if I wanted a back other than David Montgomery in Chicago, it would be Khalil Herbert. I think he looked fantastic in the preseason. Kind of a little more juiced up version of Jordan Howard. A little juiced up. You know, the fact that he's returning kicks tells you he's got some juice. But I'd much rather Khalil Herbert than David Montgomery. But I like the over on Monty. Cook, God, I mean, he's so good, man. He's so good, though. So good, man. He's very good. Aaron Jones. Why so low on Aaron Jones? Why do we not like Aaron Jones? What am I missing here?
We never like Aaron Jones. That's the problem.
Aaron Jones just got paid, baby. Why don't we like Aaron Jones?
So Aaron Jones has gone over that number the past 2 years. He's gone 1084 and 1104. Yep. Right, and on limited carries, he only has a high of 236.
Yeah, so he doesn't even get the ball a ton.
But I think maybe there's a little bit of AJ Dillon bias over at the FTN crew, so we can talk to them about that. But the Cook number, to talk to you more about that, where it's really interesting, he's only hit that number once, but it was last season. But he had 312 carries.
Yeah,
so it's like, is he going to hit that carry number again? And honestly, I don't hate it. Like, I really don't. They don't have a whole lot going on there. They're going to really rely on Dalvin Cook, but it is a high number, and it's probably a number I would stay away from. The projection, it is what it is. They think it's 1250. The number on the books is 375, and I think it's a fair number given that he had 1,150 in 2019 and 1,550 in 2020. So they're basically splitting the difference. They're saying, which way is he going to go this year? Is he going to be high? Is he going to be low? I could see them really relying on Dalvin Cook, but I just don't think it's a number I really want to touch right now. But I definitely like the over for Aaron Jones. I'm kind of with you there.
I like the over on Aaron Jones, and I like Dalvin Cook. I didn't really realize he had 312 last year for 15, 57, and 16.
Yeah.
Gee.
Nuts.
with 44 receptions. Dude, he's fucking good, man.
That's why he's RB2, man. Our
So
RB2
good,
at
man.
FTN Fantasy for a reason. Like
He's
he
so
is a
good. I mean, he was
beast.
good at Florida State. I mean, he's so like every time Dalvin Cook touches the ball, it looks like a home run play. Like every time, the explosiveness is evident. Dude is good, but I like the over. The fact that Minnesota, I know we talk it's tight end, but they lost a weapon in Irv Smith, and Conklin nor Chris Herndon are going to replace the threat that Irv Smith imposes on defenses. So it's Jefferson, it's Thielen, it's Dalvin Cook. I'd be more interested to see what Dalvin Cook's total yards are for the season. I know we don't have that, but the NFC North is a good division, an interesting division of running backs, some interesting lines with these quarterbacks. Stone says, who has the higher injury risk, Swift or Cook? I don't even feel remotely qualified to answer that question. I don't know.
Probably Swift. I think that
I don't know if
Cook has the injury history, but I don't really want to be. I don't know whether they're going to be degenerative and all these little things. But Swift is currently injured and currently dealing with injury issues. So I think just from that sense, walking into the season, we know Cook is healthy. He hasn't played in preseason. He's slowly ramping up. Where Dan Campbell's already talking about how Swift may not be ready physically as far as his fitness goes for week 1.
Yeah, I mean, both of them, they play running back. So both of them probably have a high injury risk. But like you said, Swift is dealing with an injury. Cook always seems to get – here's the thing. Cook always seems to get banged up. Like somehow he comes out, he limps off the field, and he comes back in and he rips off a 90-yard touchdown run. Like it seems to always happen. But my thinking is I just want the better player. If they get hurt, damn it, it was just meant to be. I think I don't think anybody's debating Cook over Swift in any format, any league. So
And Cook's only played 14 games, the most in his career. So if he somehow played 17 games,
just give him one more. Give him 15.
If you give him 17 games this year, he's gonna he could honestly hit that 2K mark we saw from Derrick Henry, because that pace of 312 carries in 14 games, you extrapolate that all the way to 16. You give him 2 more games, that's like 350 carries right there. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's where I'm at with it. But we knocked out the NFC North. Are there any tight ends that we missed that we didn't talk about? I mean, Jimmy Graham probably catch a couple of touchdowns. I know people are excited about Komet. We'll see how that plays out.
We didn't talk about Tanyan. Tanyan should be good. I know a lot of people like him.
Man, I like Tanyan. Let's see what Tanyan's lines are. What's Big Bob Tanyan? Rob Tanyan. Let's just look real quick. Nothing.
He's going to be good.
Win Offensive Player of the Year plus 50,000. That's what we got.
Edit. Robert Tanyan, Offensive Player of the Year right there. He's a tough guy to peg down, and probably because they're still rejigging their receivers, and Randall Cobb obviously being there too. He's probably gonna have a pretty good year back with Rodgers in Green Bay.
Well, good. I'm glad we got this division out of the way. We have finally, after 3 weeks of the show, completed the NFC. Where are we going? AFC West, Kansas City. Chargers.
Ooh, you want to go all the way to the West to start?
Let's go West Coast. Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders. Who else is in Denver? Yuck. Denver's got fun receivers.
They got props, right?
They got props, man. Yeah, let's go AFC West. So tomorrow, what we're gonna do on the show tomorrow is touch on some of the big games this weekend. I mean, Georgia, Clemson. But here's how degenerate of college football I am. How much I love this. So I'm putting in time to take off half a day from work, real work, on Friday. That way, and Friday's my birthday, by the way. Today Thursday. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm taking off half the day, not to relax and parlay, but to take my son to see the Paw Patrol movie. That way I don't have to do it Saturday. I get it out the way Friday afternoon. We're going to go to 4 o'clock showing, probably an hour and 15-minute movie, right? Get that out of the way Friday afternoon, so take off from work. That way, Saturday, I can chill and watch all the games. My wife was like, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want to do? I was like, I just really want to watch college football. Like, that's all I want to do. It's opening weekend. We got Clemson, Georgia. We got Bama, Miami. We got Oklahoma, Tulane. I don't really care about Tulane, but I want to see Spencer Rattler. Like, we got good games. I just want to watch college football. So I got to take off of work, put time in, take the kid to see Paw Patrol so I can have my Saturday to digest and just enjoy college football. So we're going to be talking about those matchups tomorrow. We may dive into some of the AFC West, probably Chiefs, Chargers, get that started. Maybe just Chiefs because the props there are crazy. But appreciate somebody said smart fatherhood. Ray, dad life, always dad life. All the dads out there, all the moms out there, all the parents out there. You got to do what you got to do so you can enjoy what you want to enjoy. Saturdays and Sundays, get your plan together now. And for those of you lucky individuals out there who do not have the responsibility of children yet, enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for waking up with us, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.